Hi, I am Rosal Matas and I will be explaining the exemptions from taxes of the revenues and asset of non-profit and non-stock educational institutions. Proprietary educational institutions, including those cooperatively owned, may be entitled to such exemptions, subject to the limitations provided by the law, including restrictions on dividends and provisions for reinvestments. Proprietary educational institution is subject to a special income tax rate of 10% under taxable income, and they must dedicate their operation to providing educational services because if they do not, then they will cease to enjoy the benefit of 10%. BIR examines carefully its charter and operations as non-stock and non-profit. In Article 14, all revenues and assets of non-stock and non-profit educational institutions used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempted from taxes and duties. So it clearly provides for the exemption from real property taxation in the Philippines of lands, buildings, and improvements. It should be actually, directly, and exclusively used for educational purposes. Properties not falling under such qualifications shall be subject to real property tax in the Philippines. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Navamika H. Beroy, and I'm going to report the non-impairment of the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to review tax cases. Notwithstanding the existence of the Court of Tax Appeals, which is a special court, all cases involving taxes can be raised to and be finally decided by the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Although they created a special court for tax cases, it doesn't mean that there is no jurisdiction in the Supreme Court. There is still for the tax cases. They still have a jurisdiction and it needs to review the tax cases of the taxpayers. For example, it is still possible to appeal on the Supreme Court all the decision of the court on the tax cases, and all the final answer will be based on what the decision of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. So what the decision of the Supreme Court of the Philippines is the final answer that would be solved for the tax cases that it appealed. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Galvez, and now I will share about the non-delegation of the power of taxation. As a nature of the power of taxation, it is suggestive in character that power cannot be delegated to others. When the state grants taxing power to another agency, then that is a violation of the inherent limitations. Delegated power must be discharged directly by the delegate and through the delegate's agent. It is basically an ethical principle which requires direct performance by the delegate of an entrusted power. Exception of non-delegation of the power of taxation, each local government unit shall have the power to create its own source of revenues and to levy taxes, fees, and charge, subject to such guidelines and limitations as the Congress may provide consistent with the basic policy of local autonomy. Thank you.
So, tax exemptions are limited to those granted by law. However, no law granting any tax exemption shall be passed without the concurrence of a majority of all the members of the Congress. The Constitution expressly grants tax exemptions on certain entities or constitutions such as charitable institutions, churches, patronates or convents, appurtenates thereto, mosques, and non-profit cemeteries in all lines. Non-stock, non-profit educational institution used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes.
Good day. My reporting it's all about the requirements that appropriates revenue or tariff bills shall exclusively in the House Representative. We will tackle first the revenue, the differentiate between the revenue and the bills. So the revenue is the income tax niya if you are working in that particular company. So the tariff is a tax or duty that paid to the particular class or the imports or exports or exporting the product. Ano siya. So we will tackle about the appropriates or the requirements of the revenue exclusively in the House of Representatives. According to the Executive Order number 291 Section 1, constitutional policies on the tariff bills are authorizing increase of the Republic DIB bills of local application and private bills shall originate exclusively in the House of Representatives. But the Senate proposed occur to amendments. So, according to the Constitutional Republic of the Philippines 1987 or the Article 6 Legislative Department Section 24, all appropriation revenue or tariff bills are authorizing increase of public DIB bills of legal application, and private bills shall originate exclusively in those for those House Representative, but the Senate may propose or cure amendments. It's the same lang sa isa sa Constitutional Bill sa 29. So, traditionally, nakaugalian na bayarin ang paglalaan na nagmula sa kapulungan o kinatawan nagpag-ala ng nagmula sa kapulungan. Limitasyon sa pagsasaalang ng mga singil sa kita na nakasaad din ang saligang batas na Senado na maaring magmungkahi o sumang-ayon o sumunod tulad ng sa iba pang panungkulang batas tulad ng singil sa kita at sa kamera.